Hi, so this is a short webinar looking at how you can support your child with applying for the next steps after Year 11. So this is suitable for Year 10 students who are about to start that process. So when they start Year 11, they definitely want to be thinking about the plans and getting support if they need to. But also it's for Year 11 parents and students who have made their applications or are still yet to make their applications or would like to change their applications. So it's really just to tidy the process up and just to make sure everyone's aware of how the process works and what's suitable for your child. So has your child chosen the course at the correct level? So I'm going to go into levels a little bit later in the webinar, but it's really important that if you've had an interview at college or at sixth form or for your apprenticeship provider, that you're at the correct level, so that your child needs to be at the level that they should be at, and I'll discuss that in a moment. And does that course actually get your child where they need to be? So their career aspirations or their university aspirations, does that course actually lend itself to that? Because that's important to think about as well. Have you actually applied for the course? So we get to this point every year where students think they've actually gone through the application process and hasn't actually submitted, or it hasn't actually worked at the college end or the sixth form end. So have you actually had the confirmation of their application? Have you had the interview through? And then have you actually been accepted? So normally most providers will give a conditional offer. So basically if you get the correct grades, you can get into this place. And off the back of that, have we got a plan B? So what happens if that course doesn't run? Or what happens if you don't quite get the grades that you want? Or equally, what happens if you do better than what you'd maybe planned? Have you got other options in the pipeline? Because a plan B is always useful to have. In terms of the education ladder, so Year 11s and Year 10s are currently at this process now. So they're doing level 1 and level 2. So providing they get the grades 9 to 4, which is the old style A star to C, then that would be a pass at GCSE, which is a level 2. And you can see there the equivalents to that. So if you're getting a level 2 diploma, an MVQ level 2, a BTEC, or intermediate apprenticeship, that's all classed as level 2. So when students leave us at the end of Year 11, they are leaving with a level 2 qualification. So ideally, they're looking to go higher than that next time when they apply for their next steps. And after level 2, it goes to your level 3. Now, if you're doing a traditional A-level route or T-levels or an apprenticeship, you tend to be at that level 3, which is the step above. So what you'd like to leave Year 11, get a level 2, and then go on and do your next 2 years with your provider and get a level 3 qualification. Now, some providers or some courses won't let you start at level 3. So for instance, if you're going to do maybe bricklaying at college or another technical qualification that you've never experienced before, that the students never experienced before, they'd potentially start at a level 1 or a level 2 and build their way up to a level 3. So if you get offered a level 1 or a level 2 course, it doesn't mean to say that you've been offered the wrong course. It just might be worth asking and questioning just to make sure that is the correct level for that course and for yourself. And if you're ever unsure, please come and see me or your tutor or anyone at school to be able to guide you in the right direction. But generally, you would like to take the step up the ladder and move on to a level 3 qualification, because at the end of Year 11, as I've said, you come out with a level 2 qualification. And then this is the rest of the ladder. So it goes all the way up to level 7. So once you've finished the 2 years at college or sixth form or an apprenticeship or in the army or wherever the student's next steps may be, you can go up the ladder if you so wish. So as I mentioned earlier, it's quite important, if your child is wanting to go up the levels in the blue area of this slide, that they pick the correct course for them for the next 2 years. So if they pick the correct courses, that can then lead to university, or it could lead to a higher apprenticeship, or it could lead to any of these other parts of the ladder. But sometimes if you get the level of course or the particular type of course not quite right, it then might prevent the child going up to level 4, level 5 and so on. So if there is aspirations there to go on to the blue part of that pyramid, then we need to make sure the correct level course is done. And again, please speak to me if there's any worries about that. And after year 11, as I've sort of discussed, generally these are the three routes that people go down: sixth form, a college or an apprenticeship. But there is also armed forces, there are some specialist colleges that you can go to, but they will generally fall into these three categories. And all students must stay in education or training until the age of 18. And at this point, I think it's worth pointing out the differences and potentially some similarities between sixth form and college. So sixth form is kind of like an extension of school. So it's similar learning style to school. You'll be in classrooms, smallest class sizes, so you'll definitely have less students within the class. But you are focused on the academic qualifications in a specific subject area. Okay, and normally for A-levels you'll choose 3 separate subjects to study and go in them in more detail. So instead of choosing the 8 or so that you do at GCSE, you narrow it down to 3, depending on what you choose. Sometimes it might be 2 subjects, sometimes it might be 1, but you end up with 3 A-levels or equivalent to 3 A-levels. Whereas at college, you focus more on the vocational qualifications. So it's potentially a bit more practical, a bit more hands-on, and it could also be linked more towards a specific job or career. So if you've got a real solid aspiration in your head of a certain career that you would like to do, that's potentially vocational, fits that route, then college is the best place. If you're potentially looking at university, or you're potentially wanting to have a broader education for the next 2 years, then sixth form would be more appropriate. In terms of A-levels, if we think about Headlands specifically, because obviously we know a bit more about that, you would study 3 to 4 subjects. Within that, you still get your work experience, and you also do a lot of enrichment. So for Headlands, we do lots of university visits, we follow a really strong PSHE programme, we've got Tomorrow's Teachers, an opportunity for students to link up with teachers and visit some education establishments. We've got the really successful Health Academy where you're linked with local healthcare providers and doctors to expand your knowledge on that. And there are lots of other enrichment opportunities as well. And you get the same level of support as you would do, as you have done all the way through the rest of school life. Now that's the same for most A-level providers. So any other sixth form would follow a similar pattern. They won't all necessarily do work experience, they won't all necessarily do the same level of enrichment activities, but that's something that's well worth checking on if A-levels at a different establishment is what's of interest. And then a little bit more detail in terms of the vocational courses that you'd study at college. I've mentioned what the levels 1 to 3. And what you do there is you're at college for 2 to 3 days a week, potentially with some work experience. That's well worth checking with the provider of the course if that's something that you're keen on. You're going to do it for 1 to 2 years. You might do 1 year at one level and then do another year at the second level, but you'll be there generally for the 2 years. It's more hands-on, and it does, as I've mentioned before, potentially directly link to employment opportunities. Same as with sixth form, college, if you've not passed maths or English, you will need to resit them as part of your course. And then within college or sixth form, a fairly new qualification which is called T-levels. So you could do a T-level in something potentially vocational, but this time this is equivalent to your 3 A-levels, and it's kind of like a flip of an apprenticeship. So whereby apprenticeship, which I'll talk about in a moment, is more on-the-job training, T-levels is more academic, more educational, but then you do have the on-the-job training as well. Okay, just slightly less of it. Not quite established yet, if we're honest, in terms of the national picture or local picture, but there are some fantastic T-levels open to students, so that might be a really nice sort of combination of your traditional A levels and your vocational subjects all in one. Again, it is new, they are pretty new, they're not established, but there are some fantastic ones available, but it's well worth having some more research on that or asking any questions as you go. And then you've got apprenticeships, so this is getting more and more and more popular, which also then means it's more and more difficult to get one. So apprenticeships are generally 4 days a week at work, it does vary sometimes, and then you do the rest of the time at college. The pay for apprenticeships has just gone up, so it's going to be a minimum of £7.55 an hour. Providers can pay more than that, but that's just a minimum. It's obviously work experience because you're constantly on the job, and it's that hands-on learning. So some people do really like the idea of apprenticeships, one because you get paid straight away, but two because you are more likely then to go straight into industry after you've done your 2 years of your apprenticeship whilst you're getting qualified. So if school and a school environment, a learning environment is maybe not quite what you'd like to do for the next couple of years, then actually an apprenticeship might be a fantastic opportunity. The difference, and this is something to really stress to students, is you can't just apply for an apprenticeship like you do for college or for sixth form. You have to find a provider that would take an apprentice on. You'd need to work with a provider to see if you're suitable, and then we need to do the links with the college. So apprenticeships are more challenging to get, but massively rewarding for certain types of students if they manage to get one. And as I've discussed a couple of times in this webinar, the 16 to 18 options are then there to lead you to your post-18 options. So is that going to be a university? Is it going to be a degree apprenticeship? Or are you going to go straight into the world of work? Now, thinking about this is really, really important, because what you choose, or what your child chooses next over the next 2 years, puts them into whichever route goes there. So if they've not done the correct level course to get into university, that might then mean that they've got to do another year potentially to be able to get enough UCAS points to get into university. So that's something to think about. If they've not done a relevant course that links to an apprenticeship or degree apprenticeship, again, that might be something to think about during this decision-making process. And then a world of work. So is the course that your child's doing for the next 2 years help them get to the job that they want? Are the jobs available? Would they need to move away? All these thought processes need to be sort of in people's minds to make sure we make the best possible informed choice to get a positive destination. And finally, and as always really, I'm always here to help. So I am the careers lead. So I gladly help any student from any year group with ideas of their potential destinations. Your child's tutor teacher will also be able to support you, as will the year leaders. Every student from year 9 up to year 13 has many one-to-one guidance appointments, as well as regular meetings with the senior leadership team, which discusses future destinations, along with all the other careers-related activities that we put on in school, whether that be people visiting us, assemblies, us going on different visits. We try to provide as many opportunities as we possibly can for all students to then be able to make and choose some really fantastic courses for when they leave year 11, and certainly when they leave year 13 as well. And we love hearing how students go about their business after they've left year 11 or 13, and it's great to have them back as well, because lots of them come back and visit us, as well as deliver careers based activities for our students to really put back into the next generation. But please be in touch if you need any support. Thank you.